Yes, sir. Once again, got Big Jimmy DeLessio, and this is a third edition of Mob Tales, or the fourth one of them. Today, we're gonna get into some things surrounding the Gambino crime family and certain things like that. You know, Jimmy got unlimited stories, so just buckle down and hold on. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good, bro. Muka, how are you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, it's weird. We were just talking about how people, want to know this stuff, but it is real life, and it's right around the corner from everybody.
Yeah.
When you're in the diner, you're sitting next to these jambooks, as we call them.
Jim Books.
Jamooks.
Yeah, man.
And that's what they. I mean, that's what they are.
All the work you did around the city, is going to happen because these guys own most of the real estate, most of the the construction, all that stuff. So you're going to be doing business with them whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. I mean, it's really died down now, and it is the past, and it is a lot of history. But I don't think talking about it means anything or does anything. It's not a circumstance. I'm not putting anybody in trouble, but no. I am telling the truth. I am telling the truth about what these people are and how they act and what they do. Which is relative to what goes down.
Yes, sir. So where you want to start at today?
Well, I got an interesting story about a restaurant I built, the Nouveau Cafe. And it was very interesting. I opened up a really beautiful music venue. I had Reuben Wilson, one of the greatest jazz organists that ever lived. I mean, he was Floyd Patterson's sparring partner.
Oh, okay.
One of the greatest organists I've ever played with, and I can't be more honored. But before I opened my restaurant, you were opening it up with in what we call the character area.
Staten Island, am I correct?
I'm sorry?
On Staten Island?
On Staten Island, on New York Lane, I had a restaurant. And people might remember it. I opened it up because I built so many restaurants, and I just wanted to have a place where I was really making like a jazz music place on Staten Island.
Wow.
I wanted to make it like in Chicago and make a famous jazz music place. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about the money. I wasn't interested in getting rich. I did it because I wanted people that wanted to hear great musicians, great music, come and hang out and lounge, safe place. And we could tell the stories that went on after this, but this is at the beginning. I just built the place. And of course, you have partners. And my partner, Fat Man Rob Rispoli, and I hope you're hearing this, Rob, because it is the truth, you fat delinquent piece of garbage. He was a scaredy cat. And now there's either a man or a scaredy cat that the mob gets involved with. They love the scaredy cats because they control them. They never could control me. They used to come up to me, Jim, throw me some money. Come on, what are you doing? That's the piece of garbage, Vinny Nunes. Mm-hmm. So anyway, my partner.
Sorry. What year was this? I'm sorry.
This was 1999, 2000, 2001.
Wow. Okay.
So we were building the restaurant, and my partner owed money to mobsters, and I didn't know that. He was gambling and never told me. So this is a very deep story, this restaurant. But at the beginning, he had a guy, Buster. This is a very true story, I'm telling you. Buster started going into a place I built prior to my restaurant, and he ruined it. He was running the bar, and for some reason, this guy Buster, the piece of garbage that he is, got his horns into my ex-partner. And one day, Buster, they were all in my restaurant, and we're ready to I think we were opening in a week. We're getting ready, kitchen getting ready. And there was about 15 of them. They all come in the restaurant, and they're going, oh, this is beautiful. We need a place like this for us to hang out in. So I'm looking at Rob. I'm going, Rob, what are these guys here for? Like, he sees my face, and he's going, yeah, no. He was scared. I could see the sweat running off his face because he saw I had no fear, and I didn't. But they're going around. They're going, this is going to be great. We just want to earn. We're going to earn big in this place. So I'm looking to earn. You're gonna earn big in this place. I said, okay, very cool. I didn't say nothing at that point. They left. Buster, this is the games that the mobsters play.
Mm-hmm.
Buster invites me to a party to his house. I said, hey, Buster, yeah, no, I go. I know what's going down. They're going to try to put their hooks in me, tell this one I did this, that one I did this. So I go to Buster's house. Buster's like, Jim, you're going to need some friends in the restaurant. I said, what do you mean, what friends? What friends do I need? Well, you need people there with you. No, I don't. I don't need anybody there with me. So what was very funny is we're all sitting up, and a guy, how guys spin their keys on their finger?
Uh-huh.
This guy's talking, and he's spinning his keys on his finger, and it flies off his finger and goes behind this bureau. And the bureau is filled with dishes, and it's fucking heavy, Mook.
Oh, wow.
So he flings his thing, and they're all talking to me like, we're going to, we should call. Yeah, they were trying to get a hold of me so they could take over my restaurant like I was some kind of wussy. So all of a sudden, my keys, how do I get my keys? That those Sheffield mob talk. How do I get my keys? Look at this. What a dummy I am. I spin it on my finger, and they're laughing. 8 of them could not move this dresser. This is what I'm telling you right now is the honest to goodness truth. If there is a God, then God, I'm telling, this is what happened.
But these they probably didn't want to do the work and were acting like they couldn't move. But I believe you. I think they couldn't move because I know they all weak kind of guys. But before you continue, Jimmy is a master builder, master carpenter, master construction, all that. So I'm sure it was a nice establishment. So get that in your head and try to imagine the scene. Like he comes from fine work, so he does real good shit, and he's a very, very talented, skilled craftsman. So
that's right, bro.
So let him finish. I'm sorry, yo. Go ahead.
So I know what's about to happen, and they really couldn't move the bureau. They're lazy. Now me, I studied Zen my whole life, and I know how to move objects. I can teach people that. It's not that I have a power that nobody else has. It's a training thing, and it's all your mental mind. How you hear people, moving 1,500-pound things. And I could tell you a story about my mother, but anyway, they couldn't move it. And they go, look at this. How am I getting my keys? What a dummy. I said, oh, shit. They go, Jim, could you give us a hand? So I said, well, gentlemen, it's better if I do it by myself. He says, what do you mean by yourself? 8 of us can't even move it an inch. We just barely got it up a half inch. I said, excuse me. And I'm telling you, this is what I did. I went to the side of the bureau. Now, these are all these mobsters looking at me. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh. I played it out a little bit, So I'm going, oh. I lifted this thing and moved it out of the way, and I'm holding it up in midair. Their jaws dropped. And I went, you going to grab your keys? I go, oh, yeah. And the guy put it down, and I put it down. And I went downstairs, and I went to the bottom of the steps. And this is what I heard, Mook. How the hell are we going to move on this guy? I said, he'll probably take us all out in 2 seconds. Did you see what he just did? I said, how they were talking about making a move on me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so watch this. I play it up and I go one step further. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. Because Buster goes, hey, Jim, we can make this happen. I can bring a lot of people into the bar. Why don't you tell them that you didn't put that much money in and we put more of the money in? And this way, we'll all have control of the place. Mm-hmm. And I said, you mean you'll have control of the place, right, Buster? No, it's your place. It's your place. And then where are you getting involved that you're worried about the interactions of this restaurant? No, we're here. We're here for each other. Well, what do I need you for, Buster? So watch what I did. This is a true story. I went to Brooklyn because other guys like Mike Anati and all these other guys that were from Canarsie, this was all the Nick Carrazzo crew when Nick was the Gambino boss. Fucking unbelievable. So as I'm going to meet them in Brooklyn, they're all saying, well, this guy Buster said this guy Buster said that. Now, at that interim, I knew that I was going to get Buster out of the play, and watch how I got these guys out of the play. Very interesting.
I'm sorry, Buster was your partner?
No, Buster was with my ex-partner in the restaurant.
Okay.
Buster already got his hooks on him. Now all he got to do is get his hooks in me, and then he thinks he can run that place like he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to these guys, and they embarrassed him. Buster, man, he got his ass chewed out, and you tried to lie. You lied to us and all this shit. And this is a very interesting story. And Buster comes up to me with two of his friends. And he goes, Jim, what you did was uncalled for. You pissed a lot of people off. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. I said, hey, Buster, guess what? I'm not in your world. I don't want to be in your world. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't shut your fucking mouth, I'm going to fucking put you and your two girlfriends in the hospital. He goes, what'd you just say, call girlfriends? Oh, I'm sorry, sissies. You and your two fucking sissies, I was really livid back then. I was really livid then. I knew that I had to show fear to them as they were trying to show fear to me, because that's how they work. They try to intimidate you. How the hell do you intimidate a fourth degree Zen master who teaches how to enforce people fear? I'm the one that teaches how to put fear onto people.
Uh-huh.
Man, I never saw a guy, Buster goes back to Rob Rispoli. Rob goes, we're going to have a problem with these guys. I said, no, Rob, you're going to have a problem with these guys. So lo and behold, I'm back in the restaurant. Rob's there. Buster's in there with about 10 of his friends. I tell you the truth. I'm going like this. What's going on? Well, what do you mean what's going on? We're getting ready. We're opening. I said, hey, Buster, I told you you're not allowed in here. I said, I don't want you in this restaurant. Jimmy, look around you. This is what he tried to do. I said, okay, what about it? I'm looking around. I see my restaurant. Oh, you don't see anybody else here? You don't see who's with me? I said, yeah, I see about 10, 11 guys that are about to get seriously baseball batted and put into the fucking hospital. Now, no lie, I planted about 4 or 5 baseball bats in this restaurant. And I was right near one that they didn't see. So they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. Mook, I picked up this restaurant. Now, these are wise guys. Two of the players were made men, and Buster was a follow-up to these morons. I took the bat out, and I started flipping it like this. I went like this, who's first? And I said, Rob, I told you this piece of shit is not allowed in this restaurant. And I said, and that's why we have cameras. That's what I had to go through. That's the dealings that you have to deal with these guys. They were tumultuous. So all of them looked out and they all walked out. Not one of them said a word to me. Not one of them. They looked out and Buster said, you got to have eyes behind the back of your head. I said, I don't need eyes behind the back of my head. I said, because Buster, if you don't get me, I will be coming after you like a ninja in the night. Like a ninja in the fucking night.
Well, they always say these guys go after the weak, really.
Yeah, of course. Bro, of course.
They found you wasn't weak, and they was like, it wasn't worth it.
That's right, Mook. They go and the same thing with any gang. They try to infiltrate the ones that they can control. They'll probably make you make money, but they're taking over all your hard work and effort into a place. So we get the place open. We're open about a month, and Buster sends in 4 brawlers. 2 of them were firemen, both carrying guns. And another guy was, he was a Persico. He was related to the Persicos. I forget his name. So they come in the restaurant, and their excuse was that one of the girls in there was my ex-wife. And I saw them coming in. They're getting rowdy. They're slapping bottles on the table. And I walked up, and I said, hey, gentlemen, how you doing? Yeah, what do you want? I said, what do you mean, what do I want? I said, it's my restaurant. It's my place. Yeah, okay. So, okay, yeah. So, you're getting a little loud, guys. I'd really appreciate if you calm down. They looked at each other and they laughed. He said, this guy right here is telling me to calm down. I said, yes, I am. I'm directing it at you. because you're the first guy I'm going to throw down the stairs. He goes, what did you just say? I said, you're the first guy that I'm going to throw down the stairs because you're closest to the stairs. And then I looked at the other guy and I go, you're a fireman. You're a fireman? I said, your gun is sticking out. Did you come here to use that gun? And he looked at me, he didn't say a word. They thought I was nuts. And one of the guy goes, well, that's my ex-wife over there. Well, your ex-wife is welcome here and her new boyfriend are welcome here, but you're not welcome here. He goes, well, I got 2 drinks coming. I got a drink. I just brought these guys around. Did you? I went to the bartender. I said, give these guys their money back. Give them their money back from the first drink they had. And I gave the bartender $20. This is a tip for you from these gentlemen. Now I'm going to ask you to leave. The 4 of them, 2 came around my left side, and the other one came around my right side, and the guy that I was confronting with stayed right there. They were in there to brawl with me and give me a beating. I back kicked the guy behind me, and at the same time, I groin kicked the guy in front of me. I spun around to my left, and I threw that guy into the guy that was on my right. At that point, the guy that I back kicked, I smashed his nuts. He had to be in so much fucking pain. It was unbelievable. He was on the floor crying and begging. The other guy in front of me, I hit in his bladder. I leaned down, I grabbed him by the back of his head, and I stuck my thumb at the crest of his ear. And that's very painful. I don't know if you want to try it, but it's very painful. You grab the crest of the ear with thumb, and then you pull on the hair. You literally can rip somebody's ear out of their, off their face. This guy was hysterical crying. The other 2 guys hit their heads. They were still like dazed. And I said, I'm going to give you the count to 3 for all 4 of you to leave this restaurant, or there'll be ambulances coming for you. And I said, and you tell Buster, now I'm going to be looking for him. Let me tell you, bro, there was an uproar. This guy comes in. Gentleman was a gentleman. He was a real deal from Brooklyn. He apparently was handling Buster's affair. They called him Mikey Glee or something. I don't know what he did. He had some kind of business with some kind of glitter and shit like that for this. He was doing very well, but he had a legitimate business, but he was a mobster nonetheless. He come in and he actually said to me, I want to apologize. You're a man, you're a gentleman. Here we are. They got a little out of hand. And I said, well, Buster did send those guys in here, right? He said, yes, they did. He was going to send a few more. I said, it wouldn't have mattered. It only gets me angrier when there's more. And I'm more focused. And I stopped with those 4. If there was more, I wouldn't have stopped. I would have went into annihilation mode. I would have really done damage because that's my motive.
Wow.
If I'm being attacked. And he goes, no, you're not going to have no trouble from us. And I wanted to ask you if I wanted to bring my wife here. And I said, sir, you are more than welcome. And let me tell you, when I had my restaurant, you remember the guy that shoved that suction up Abner Lewina's ass, that cop?
Yeah.
He was in my restaurant, okay? He came in my restaurant. I told him to leave. Right in front of everybody, I said it out loud. I said, I don't want people like you in my restaurant.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And guess what? Everybody got up and everybody clapped. My restaurant was doing great.
Wow. So wait, the first guys that tried to lean on you were associated with the Gambinos.
Oh yeah. He was
that it got physical. This was the Lucchese family. So basically they figured, this still is wide open. No, and they came in after the Gambinos.
Yeah, Buster sent them in to shake me down, like to bust my balls, so like I would need help in here or people to come and be by my side. I actually had FBI agents watching some mobsters in my restaurant. I knew they were FBI because I saw the crest of their badge and I knew that they were watching these guys, and they wound up arresting them. I used to get a lot of mobsters in my restaurant. Yes, there was a ton of them.
Yeah, you were the home of it.
Yeah, one day, the guy is he passed away. He was a very heavy set guy. He was a fish guy. So he comes in and Rob never paid him to fish. Then he starts talking bad about the owner. The owner of the building is a very established businessman. So he turns around and he starts trying to haggle me and tell him that I got to pay the bill. Meanwhile, we paid him the bill. He was shaking me down to try to get $5,000 out of me. Hello? We have a brief pause.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You could have
No,
cut.
don't be silly.
We got some
So,
questions
Mook,
and stuff, but
my partner Rob was going behind my back buying fish from his guy that was hooked up with Buster. This was their crew. And meanwhile, I was buying fish from the owner because I was getting quality fish. I was paying a little bit more for it, but my partner was paying a debt. He was paying a debt and using my restaurant. I'm going to tell you another story, which is really crazy. So this owner, this guy that was selling me the fish started bad mouthing the owner. Now, I'm not a rat, but when somebody's bad somebody on their property, you got to let that person know that this guy is a dirty doer. So I was very good friends with the owner. We respected each other. He said, Jimmy, you're a gentleman, you're a man. Now, playing in that world, yeah, but a complete gentleman. One of the nicest people I ever met. Really, very, very classy guy. So I said, hey, John, look, because here's the problem. If somebody happened to be there and they heard him saying that and in front of me and I didn't say nothing to him, that guy's going to look at me and say, why didn't you tell me, this guy did this? Because my restaurant was packed and he's opening his big fat mouth like a jerk. So I went like this. I go, there's a lot of people around. You never know who you're talking to. So I knew the smartest thing to do was tell this guy, John, hey, this is what went down. Well, did he beat the living fucking piss out of this guy? I mean, beat the shit out of him.
So he
None of
did
these
that
people,
right there in the restaurant?
no, right outside the restaurant. Right outside the restaurant. He saw him coming in. I never bought, I used to go through hell for my partner. My partner was stealing so much money. I had wise guys coming down on me, asking me for money. One wise guy actually said to me, I paid him like a gentleman, here's your money. And the other guy goes, well, what about the other half? I said, you're going to get that from Robert. Robert? I said, yeah, Robert's the one that brought you in. You get it from him. I'm not giving you another dollar. If you have a problem with that, do what you got to do, my brother. I walked out. I never heard from him again. They were all full of shit. So I ran into them. I spit on the ground. That's a disrespect mark of you're a piece of shit, when you don't look at a guy. And I spit on the floor and I said, and I looked up at him. Yeah, I went, pooh. And I pointed at it. That's you. Like, that's you. But that's what you had to do with these demons. I call them fucking demons because they are lowlifes. They're fucking lowlifes. I don't care who you say, who's this one, that one. They hide behind a gun. They're fucking cowards. When they're only tough when they're with 10 or 11 of their friends. And then at that point, I've proven them wrong that don't even matter. Because when you know how to fight, you know how to subjectively scramble people's brains, it's pretty easy. It really is. It's pretty easy. But, my restaurant was really tumultuous. You remember Big Ange from Mob Wives? Mook, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah, for sure. I worked with her too, also.
Yeah,
That's crazy. The stories about the restaurant. I want to hear more about it, but got a couple questions just to break things up a little bit. Hold up. James Hudson. He wants to know: have you ever been to Gotti's Social Club, the infamous Raven Night in Little Italy?
That's an interesting story. I actually was there when nobody was there. Where I actually helped my friend who supplied games to him, like like the little money, the pony games, and you're betting on gambling on cards. And I remember helping him bring a card machine, but I was never ever there when somebody was there. There was one guy, and he let us in, the porter and the guy that's cleaning up. We put the machines in and we left. That was my experience with the Raven Night Club. And that was 1987. My son was just born.
Wow. So how did it look? What was it? Was it a
It was,
classy?
it was no, it was some of the walls were tan, and then there was a wall green. There was a bar, and then you had like a small kitchen. Then you had like a card room in the back, and then there was the big front open area. Wasn't nothing like extravagant. No, it was really just very plain and basic place. There was a bunch of games, and they had a couple of card games. The card game had broken down, and so they replaced it. My friend owned a vending company right in Brooklyn, right down the street from where the guy that robbed the Lufthansa Height. His place was right next door. So it's so fucking ironic, all this shit. That's why I always say it's right there. It's right in your face,
Okay, my boy East 87 got another question. He said, what was the gangster big problem with blacks back then? I guess he's saying the mobsters' problem with blacks and that situation back then. You know what I mean? Because I know in Staten Island, some of my friends went to school out there, and they said they used to get beat up and stuff. It was the Italian versus black thing for a minute. You feel me? I don't know.
Yeah. Staten Island was notorious for that. You know what? I was going to Tottenville High School, and Tottenville High School was very mixed. And I was born in a mixed neighborhood. A lot of my friends were blacks, but one of the football players, one of the guys on the team with me, was a really great guy, really smart. He wound up becoming a doctor, but he was really just a great guy. I wound up breaking a fight on him. If that's what he's talking about, the problems between blacks and whites on Staten Island. Mook, you.
Yeah, or maybe the relationship with mobsters and blacks. So like, why
Oh,
was
okay, yeah. Well,
it?
hey, listen, and this is something really cool. There was a lot of mobsters on Staten Island that used the black gangs. Now, I don't know if they were Bloods or Crips, but they did use them for distributing a lot of drugs, and that was really bad. Right up the street from me, was the projects, and again, my neighborhood is extremely mixed. I'm like one of the fewest white guys here, but yeah, that was really notorious, and there was always a lot of gang fights, not out of Susan Wagner because it was prominently black and Spanish people. Curtis was a little tough because that was mixed, but just really a lot of eccentric white guys, like these are supremacist groups, Their parents are entrenching them with bigotry, so they carry that bigotry out, through their life. But there was a lot of black and white crime with gangsters and black outfits. Like, hey, we're going to get you this, we're going to give you this, and you will give us back this. Like, there was a lot of not exchanging of money. And I know that there was a guy, Reginald Peets, who got caught with that white guy that just got arrested for selling heroin. That kid Reginald was paying them guys like almost $20,000 a week. So you can imagine the money they're exchanging. But that went on a lot in Staten Island. Also, the Italian mob used black guys to do hits on people and like beat people up. And they also used the Spanish. There was a lot of Puerto Ricans too that were. But it was more the Italian mob with the blacks. Staten Island was notorious for that. They would always use bad dudes. I saw some of these guys. They never bothered me, but they were not nice guys. They were not, And that was a real big issue because when that guy Reginald Peets got caught, he never ratted on anybody. He never gave up. That guy in the mobster, but he wound up getting caught 2 years later for trafficking this shit, And it wasn't really like he wound up being that one now, the guy that they got, the Italian guy, is now an informant. He's helping them get other drug people because they let him off the hook. But that guy, Reginald, he's gone. I think they put him upstate somewhere. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's in Marion. They took him to Marion. I knew this guy. Yeah.
So do you think it was more business for them? Like in the rules, basically, their rules are, we don't mess with business with other races. Or were they just really racist like that? Or was it just like,
no. In the high schools,
guys are doing business with God. Come on, you can't tell me,
No, Mook, I want to tell you something. When gangs, if you have an Italian mob and then they get in with a black mob, no, they do business. That's been going on since the 20s and the 30s. There's been black mobsters in Harlem and everything. I mean, they were controlling Harlem, but they worked with each other. But this has been going on for 100 years, man. This has been going on since the 1920s. But if you're talking about what went on in the high schools, I didn't like that. Because, all right, what people do for a living and what they do is their business. I mean that sincerely. I would never rat on anybody or cause anybody conflict. But when I was growing up, the high schools were bad. And Tottenville started bringing them in. They came in with buses from Mariners Harbor, a lot of black students. I had no problem with it, and a lot of my friends didn't. I was playing in ball with a lot of black guys, and even when I played semi-pro, the team was mostly black. We got along. We were like brothers, man. So to an individual, that's normal. It's normal, but these kids in the high schools, and they're mainly Italian kids. They're mainly Italian. Was so fucking fist fights. I saw, and I felt bad for the black girls that got involved in this. They got things thrown at them from, twatty little brats, little, white girls. And again, only sticking up when they're alone. Oh, it's a different story. So this shows you the mentality of the morons that are in this country. But Staten Island was notorious for fights between blacks and whites, especially in Susan Wagner High School, Curtis. Port Richmond was cool because Port Richmond was more a prominent black neighborhood, but again, the white guys were like brothers. That's what I loved about Port Richmond. They everybody had a togetherness, and they really were like equals. But I don't know what it is. There's a lot of bigotry on Staten Island. There was a lot of families and a lot of gangsters, a lot of guys that were in the mob. I mean, yeah, I saw all these guys all the time because there were so fucking many of them.
Yeah.
So many of them.
That's crazy. One more. We got a question, then I'm going to let you answer it, but I'll be right back. Does he remember the racial tension in Howard Beach and Bensonhurst and the murder of Yusuf Hawkins back then?
Okay. A friend, I talked to my friend about this a couple of years ago, and this is interesting that you're saying it. But Howard Beach is probably the most racially segregated area. Why? You had John Gotti, so they're looking at this guy as the white knight, And what's terrible is that's racial tension and racial bigotry areas that are just really just so far gone. You have kids that are just, their minds are so displaced and they're radically, just have a hatred for black people, which is crazy, and there are areas and pockets. I mean, the proof was that guy in Georgia, poor guy was just jogging and these morons, and that's what they are, morons, killed him because he was jogging. It's insane, man. The whole idea of it is insane. But yeah, that was a bad scene. That was a bad scene in Howard Beach because that is really a racially divided area. Like Howard Beach is really a white neighborhood, and when you have that white neighborhood and you have gangster fathers, your kids are gangsters, they all acted like gangsters. Though it was a safe neighborhood, there was a lot of street fights. But here's this poor kid walking in the street and they killed him because his color of his skin is different. Now that is a criminal. That is criminal. And these people, this is the problem of why we have this segregation, because it started dying out and people started saying, hey, this is fucking nuts. But guess what? Trump brought those Howard Beach people back. He brought the oath sayers. All these people, if they had a gun, they would shoot anybody. They would shoot any black person. And then you wonder why black young youth were getting enraged is because of this radical behavior and this radical ideology of humanity, man. There's no empathy in this situation it's just segregation, more hate. Hate begets hate, What happened in Howard Beach was a disgrace. And those guys should never be ever able to get out of jail for what they did. That's criminal.
Yeah. So yeah, Jimmy, when I'm not here, the people here to hear your story. So when I'm not here,
I still was talking on this one, Mook. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was doing it. But we're talking about Howard Beach, and his main question is, was it racially motivated? Is that what he really means? Of course it was racially motivated. If that was what he was looking for his answer, yeah, it's bigotry at its finest, man. Hey, guess what? Did you ever hear of the football player Ernie Davis? I read the book. It's actually one of the most amazing stories I ever read. He wound up winning the Heisman Trophy, and John F. Kennedy was president and wanted to shake his hand because his ability was beyond anything, But what we didn't have in New York, mainstream New York, in Manhattan, you didn't have a lot of that tension, that racial bigotry, because it was artists and dancers, and you had black ballerinas and white ballerinas, and nobody gave a shit, and everybody, and you could see it now. I was with my daughter last night. We went to Joe Shanghai's, and we saw mixed couples and black people with white people, and everybody's and you know, my daughter looks at me. She goes, "Dad, why isn't it night like this everywhere?" I said, "Because you have pockets of bigotry." So here's this guy, Ernie Davis, won the championship in Syracuse in 1960. I mean, I'm talking about a guy that was probably the best running back ever. He couldn't go into a hotel in Texas. They put him in the back and they made him go in the back door because they didn't want to scare the customers. He slept on a dirty cot in one room with two other players that were black on the football team. And Ernie Davis cried. He had to use the payphone out in the back and walk out, and he actually cried to his brother. When he won the Heisman Trophy and Syracuse kicked his, they were beating him on the floor. They were hitting him in the head when they tackled him. They were running after him and hitting him. They had so much hate, man. But guess what? They all go, and they were having, and if you ever watch the movie, The Express, it'll tell you the whole book. The book is much better, but the movie is pretty damn good. He actually died of leukemia, the poor guy, but one of the great, he was the struggler of what I'm mentioning about Howard Beach. That's the hatred in Texas is the same as Howard Beach. And this is it's pocketed over here. It's pocketed over there. You have people hanging Trump signs and giving Heil Hitler symbols. What are we going back to the 30s and 40s? We start to become brothers. You know, yeah, that's how radical it is that he's thinking about that so long ago because it affects us. It affects us all. If you're a normal human being, how could it not affect you? You know? And what's very sad is that these idiots are motivated to do that. Just think about that. They're out to do that. They're not trying to educate themselves, man. And then they realize when they get older, what the hell was that all about? Why did I do that? Why did I act like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I want to tell you, you know what? I walked in, I don't know if I told you this story. There was a young black kid walked in he had two concrete columns and he was looking for the pyramid top with the rectangle. You know, he wanted to get it replaced. So I'm in there and the Indians, we got this and we can give you this. This young black man walks in, beautiful, sweet talking kid. And he goes, "Excuse me, yeah, we don't sell that." And I looked at the guy and I looked back and I said, "This mother son of a bitch." So I walk out, I grab the kid. He goes, "Hey, buddy." He goes, "Let me see what you know." He goes, "Oh, listen, I know where you can get this." I got right on my phone and I called my friend Dale. I bought it for the kid. I said, "What's your address, kid?" "Oh, hey, listen, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I'm helping you out." I said, "It's going to be delivered to your mother's house." The guy said, "Jimmy, anything for you." The guy comes running back out of the restaurant, out of his supply place. And he goes, "Hey, Jim, I would love to do business with you. We saw your website." And I looked at him. I looked him up and down. I looked him at the floor. I said, "Sir, you will never see me in the Laurie Hill quadrant again." And I said, "You're done." I said, "You're not even a human being." So this is what bothers me. This is the 21st century. Not even back in the Roman times was there discrimination against blacks and people. There was dignitaries that were taken over from, when Rome invaded, these people came and they were now indigenous to Rome and Italy, and it was fine. You know, this was all good. But now all of a sudden you have a Heil Hitler and you have this Nazism in this country and the Ku Klux Klan. This shit's been going on, but is it melting away? Yeah, because now we have harsher laws. You can't do this, you can't do that. That's what you got to do, and that's what you got to do. And this gentleman that asked this question about Howard Beach, that Howard Beach goes all the way back to this shit started. This is the mentality that must be broken, and slowly it is. You know, if I go to my friends, and we were talking about the other day, if I say to my friends, "Oh, look, like this is his answer. Oh, blacks took over." I said, "They're better athletes. They're better athletes." Well, what do you? I said, "Don't hush. They are. You don't think they are?" You're telling me that? I said, "I don't see one white guy out in that backfield running after who's the guy? Antonio Brown. He was one of my favorite players. I can't believe what he did. I feel so bad, but you ain't catching this guy. This, and that's the truth. Why can't there some of the best quarterbacks now? A lot of the quarterbacks are black now. That's awesome. We should be very happy about that because I never in my life ever looked at anybody or anything from their color. I looked at them from their character. And again, I respect and love everybody, and I'm not going to distinguish somebody or think in any way that I'm better than anybody because I am not at all. I am equal to every human being. I go out of my way to help people. In my shopping center, I see a lot of black women and they're trying to reach for something. I said, "Oh, ma'am, oh, thank you so much." And I walk away, "Oh, no problem." And then if we're in a tight thing, I laugh with them, I kid around with them. You know why? Because they're beautiful, beautiful people. They're women.
Let's get back to the restaurant. I hear you. So how long was the restaurant open, and what was the circumstances of it closing? Was some stuff going on, or
Well,
what?
no, my ex-partner robbed it so much. And wise guys were starting to play games with the laundry. I paid off a laundry guy, and I showed that I paid it off. So when anybody came into my office in my restaurant, it was actually near my front door too, is that I paid ivory linen. Yeah, that's right. I'm saying it, ivory linen. And one of the jamooks in the ivory linen said, I think we paid this guy wrong. Like, in other words, they didn't, oh, they thought they were going to get over on me, but they saw that I wasn't, But I had a gun put to my head in the restaurant. Um, and
Okay, you gotta go into detail about that story because we want to know.
yeah, I was in my restaurant one night. I don't know. I think he was just he was a hitman. He got arrested. He's in jail for life now. And I don't remember his name, and that sucks because I wanted to yell it out. But he actually was going like this, holding on to his lapel of his jacket, and he's going, "Jim, you burn bridges." I said, "Sir, why would I want to go over a bridge that I can get thorns from, or I can get splinters from? I'd rather blow it up and never walk on it again because I care about my feet." So he goes, "I get it. I get it." I go, "But you're making a lot of enemies." I said, "No." I said, "I'm just sticking up for myself. I ain't making no enemies. They're making the enemies. They're the haters. So he opened up his jacket. He goes like this with his lapel, and he opens up his jacket, and he lets me see his gun. And he takes it out, and he points it at me. Mook, that split second, I hit the bartender with his gun. I hit him right at the crest of his hand. And anything you have in your hand, if you ever hit your hand, you see the end of your palm? Hit your hand on the end of the palm, your fingers automatically release. So I gave him a vertical chop, and I hit it out of his hand in 2 seconds. He pointed it right at my head. The gun was not loaded, but this is what he was doing. He was playing a game. I couldn't, somebody reported it. A cop came that's right. A cop came that day. I told him I never saw the guy before. They were asking everybody in the restaurant. And that's when my restaurant started going down. When they seen us, my ex-partner tried to rob $45,000. So he called the cops, and about 20 cops waited because he said somebody's in the Nouveau Cafe with a gun. This was another time. So after this, fighting these people, I'm fighting them all. That's who I'm fighting. They do this, do that, go over there, do that. They spray painted my store, my wood. I had a sander clean the glass. They stole the bread from the front. I said, "Bro, what happened to the bread?" And the guy goes, "I delivered it." But they were robbing it. They were robbing all the stuff when supplies came in. Yeah, Mook. when they come in and if they don't go their way, they're sneaky, snarly bastards, you know.
So ultimately, you're blaming the mob for your restaurant closing down.
Absolutely, 100%. 100% from my partner paying off the guy, the loan shark that he owed money to the guys coming in the restaurant trying to take over the restaurant, to people being afraid because, oh, I heard there was guns. Once that happens, once you go ahead, I heard there was guns in the Nouveau Cafe. You're going to take your wife there, Mook? You know what I'm saying? They're going around telling all these things. And meanwhile, Reuben Wilson, who I jam with, which nobody will ever take that away from me, people to this day meet me, go, man, he goes, Jim, you had the best restaurant. That place was awesome. He goes, you had I had Scott from the Stevie Wonder band. I mean, I had Ray Scott. I had all these awesome musicians, and it was ass kicking. It was an awesome lounge. I got to find pictures, Mook, to show you. It really was an amazing place. It was very Art Nouveau. But damn, man. Yeah, it was mainly the mob not delivering linens. Don't deliver linens to this guy, threatening the guy that I went to get linens from. I went to a guy in Jersey. They watched him. They threatened him. He didn't deliver it anymore. I was dealing with that shit my whole life. I never told you about the ICP building. That's another whole story in itself. That's some rich ones, man. That's got some bite and some big names to it. But man, I was.
That's next week. Then we'll get into that.
Yeah, there was this guy, Ronnie One Arm, too, that because he couldn't shake me down, was telling people not to go to the place, go here, go to the bistro.
Ronnie,
Staten Island was Peyton Place in a very negative way. It was horrible, man. It was horrible. But, you know, I'm away from all of that because I mind my own business and I remain an artist. But you cannot forget these stories because they really are what went down, you know?
Yes, sir. Man, that was good stuff. Jimmy. I'm going to have to close this out in a minute. I got some technical issues, but that was a great episode. You know, we did over an hour. If you got some last words, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Everybody be happy, healthy, be well, believe in yourself, and never give up, man.
Yes, sir. And appreciate all the people tuning in, and appreciate James Hudson always, and my boy East 87. Shout out to everybody. Big Jimmy, Mob Tales.
Ciao.
Check us out next week. We out of here.